Good evening. I'll call the meeting to order at this time. If you all will please rise for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Call on Councilman Scott to lead us in the invocation.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to unite, Lord, as a group of citizens, Lord, and leaders and servants of this town, Lord, and we just pray that you give us the blessings to make the decisions that are honorable in your favor and that best reflect on each citizen that's here and those that live in our community, Lord. As always, we lift up, Lord, those that are sick or not well, that you will bless them and help them to see through the illness that they may be presented with, and those that have suffered recent loss in their family or loved ones. We ask all these things in your holy name.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gentlemen, you see the agenda that's before you. Do we have any additions? We do have one known addition, I know. Do we have any other additions or corrections to the agenda?
I move that we would add Resolution 585 to business item number 6. That is a resolution supporting the intermodal terminal in Johnston County.
Second. Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. Add that to business items. Any other corrections or additions to the agenda? Hearing none.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Okay.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, tonight, we have a couple of presentations this evening. Our first presentation is a proclamation for the Week of the Young Child, which has been designated April 9th through the 16th. So at this time, I would ask anybody that's with the Partnership for Children. I see Dwight out there. I'm not sure if there's anyone else representing the Partnership for Children. If so, if you will, please come down front. So it's my honor and privilege. This is my first proclamation like this as the mayor, getting to designate an entire week for the young child. What a special occasion. So if you will bear with me, I will read this proclamation before I present it to you. Proclamation, the Week of the Young Child, April the 9th through the 16th, 2016. Whereas the Partnership for Children of Johnston County and other local organizations, in conjunction with the National Association for the Education of Young Children, are celebrating the Week of the Young Child, April the 9th through April the 16th, 2016. And whereas these organizations are working to promote and inspire high-quality early childhood experiences for our state's youngest citizens that can provide a foundation of learning and success for children throughout Smithfield, North Carolina. And whereas teachers and others who work with or on behalf of young children, birth through the age 8, who make a difference in the lives of young children in the town of Smithfield, deserve thanks and recognition. And whereas public policies that support early learning for all young children are crucial to young children's future and to the prosperity of our society. Now therefore, I, Andy Moore, Mayor of the town of Smithfield, along with the members of the town council, hereby proclaim April 9th through April the 16th as the Week of the Young Child in the town of Smithfield, and encourage all citizens to work to support and invest in early childhood in Smithfield. Dwight, it is my honor to present this with you this evening. Thank you very much for all you do for the children in Smithfield. Executive Director of Partnership for Children in Johnston County. Dwight, you want to take a
All I
second?
want to say is thank you, gentlemen, ladies, everyone. Our children are the most critical resource we have, and we cannot let them fall through the cracks. So we're deeply appreciative of this awareness that from the beginning of birth, even before birth, our children need the best, the very best. And Johnston County is leading the way in a lot of that. So I'm proud to be a part of this, and thank you so much for this proclamation. Thank you.
So 2 in one night. Though this is not an entire week, it is a day. So the next proclamation is for Electric Lineman Appreciation Day, which is April the 18th, 2016. I'll ask Ted and any other members of the electrical department if you'd like to come forward for this presentation. Ted Cradle, our new public utilities director. All right. So again, we'll read this proclamation. Proclamation Electrical Lineman Appreciation Day, April the 18th, 2016. Whereas the town of Smithfield honors the profession of lineman, as this profession is steeped in personal, family, and professional tradition. And whereas electrical linemen are often first responders during storms and other catastrophic events, working to repair broken lines to make the scene safe for citizens of the town of Smithfield, as well as other public safety workers. And whereas electric linemen work on the town of Smithfield's power lines 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to keep the electricity flowing. And whereas due to the danger of their work with thousands of volts of electricity high atop power lines, these linemen put their lives at risk every day for the citizens of the town of Smithfield. And whereas the United States Senate in 2013 first recognized the efforts of electrical linemen in keeping the power on and protecting public safety, and has designated the celebration of a National Lineman Appreciation Day. Now therefore, I, Andy Moore, Mayor of the town of Smithfield, along with the members of the town council, do hereby proclaim April the 18th, 2016, the town of Smithfield, April 18th, 2016 as Electrical Lineman Appreciation Day. And we call upon the citizens of the town of Smithfield to recognize and appreciate the hard work, innovation, and dedication that these public servants make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. Proclaimed this 5th day of April, 2016. Thank you. You guys want to say anything? So a man of probably a few words, but I do want to say that if any of you remember a few months ago when we had the storms blow through, what was it, back in December, I think it was, we lost power one evening, and I can tell you, I was very pleased with your department and your crews, your work, out responding. I think we had about 500 customers without service, whereas other power agencies around the state had hundreds of thousands of customers without power for a couple of days. I'm pleased to say that we had all of our customers, all 500 or so that were out, all back on by 11, a little after 11 o'clock the Friday night of the power outage. And I know these gentlemen were personally out there in the rain and the very high winds that evening checking on residents. And that means a lot. And that's what it's all about, to live in a small community and have public power. You really have some great assets here, and I commend you for all you do, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, one other presentation this evening. We have the administering of the oath of office to one of our newest police officers, Virginia Harder. And I will ask the chief and Virginia and whoever else would like to come forward for this presentation. If you will, repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Virginia,
You undersign do solemnly swear
the undersigned, do solemnly swear
or affirm that I will support the Constitution
or affirm that I will support the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
that I will faithfully and bear true allegiance
that I will faithfully and bear true allegiance
to the state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers
and to the constitutional powers
and authorities which are
and authorities which are
or may be established
or may be established
for the government thereof,
for the government thereof,
that I will endeavor to support,
that I will endeavor to support,
maintain, and defend
maintain, and defend
the Constitution of said state,
the Constitution of such state,
not inconsistent with
not inconsistent with
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
that I will be alert
that I will be alert
and vigilant
and vigilant
to enforce the criminal laws
to enforce the criminal laws
of this state,
of this state,
that I will not be influenced
that I will not be influenced
in any manner
in any manner
on account of personal bias
on account of personal bias
or prejudice,
or prejudice,
and that I will be faithfully
and that I will be faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
execute
execute
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as a law enforcement officer
as a law enforcement officer
according to the best of my skill,
according to the best of my skill,
abilities,
abilities,
and judgment,
and judgment,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Come aboard.
Okay, we do have one public hearing on the agenda for this evening. It is public hearing CUP 1601, Extra Mile Motors. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to operate an automotive sales lot designed to accommodate 10 vehicles and located within a B3 zoning district. The property considered for approval is located on the north side of West Market Street, approximately 500 feet east of its intersection with North Carolina Highway 210. The property is further identified as Johnston County Tax ID 150080019. See, Mr. Embler is already here and ready to go. I
Mr. Mayor.
will ask if there's, if there's anybody that needs to speak for or against this, to please stand and be sworn in by the clerk. Is there anybody that would like, including the applicant? The applicant is here. Please stand and be sworn in.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
At this time, I will entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Have a Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Okay, Mr. Embley, turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me orient you to where the location of the front conditional use permit is. We're in, this is the Neuse River, this is US 70 West, this is Parish Drive. We're talking about the parcel of land immediately to the left of Parish Drive. In your packet, you have this same map at a smaller scale with no color on it. This is Parish Drive, it goes back to the concrete plant back off of US 70 Business West. This is Whitley Wholesale, and this is the property that we're talking about right here. And a little history of this was originally a car dealership, it was a Studebaker dealership back in the 50s, so it has a long history with the auto industry. And we're only talking about this front corner right here because there's already an existing business that's in the property. It's a truck repair facility that's been there for a number of years. So the area back in here is not into consideration. This is the front corner of what we're talking about. A little further explanation of some things that are, before I get into the formal part of the presentation. This is not what you call a traditional car dealership like we've had in Smithfield. It's more going to be operated more on a brokerage basis. The gentleman goes and finds cars for people that want them. He will also have a few there for sale. That's why there's a limited number of parking spaces. He's only asking for 10 spaces for the vehicles. And he will be maintaining his office and operating out of what used to be the old showroom. Okay, going directly to the presentation, the applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to operate an automotive sales lot designed to accommodate 10 vehicles and located in the B3 zoning district west of town. The lot is a 1.04 acre lot. It's zoned B3, and it does have the current use of the truck repair facility that's there. The conditional use is proposed auto sales, and the entire property is within the 100-year floodplain, but is located immediately outside the floodway. The zoning adjacent to the property on 3 sides, it's B3 commercial, on the remaining side, it's R28 residential. But the R28 residential use is actually into a commercial use. It's just one of the old things that was in the zoning that did not get rezoned when the new maps were completed. Staff's analysis, I will point out that it's not in, this use is not in compliance with the strategic plan. However, it's a continued use of an existing structure. If a new structure was going in there, we would take into consideration, if they were building new, that is a conservation way, and we would be asking you to consider it differently. But since it's an existing structure and it's a continuation of the use of that same structure, then it's not considered like it was a new structure and have to come into the comprehensive plan. The site will be developed in accordance with the Unified Development Code, and the applicant will be responsible for submitting a detailed site plan prior to the actual issuance of a zoning permit. The surrounding land uses are all compatible. If you've been out there, there's a lot of automobile-related facilities in that area. The signs that will be used on for the dealership will need to be meeting the town's code. Water and sewer will be provided by the town. Electric out there is a misprint on your application on the packet. It says Town of Smithfield's electrical provider. We are not. Duke is. The planning department, we do recommend approval of this project, and the planning board at its February the 4th meeting and continued it to the March 3rd meeting. And at that meeting, they did provide a unanimous approval of the conditional use permit request. The owner of the property, Mr. Whitley, is not able to be here tonight, but Seamus Costello, who is going to be the operator of the business, is here, and he can answer any questions you might have. But at this time, the council is requested to take this under consideration and give consideration to the project and make a recommendation to staff on how to proceed. With that, I complete my presentation.
So the applicant is here and has been sworn. Do you agree with the information that Mr. Embler just presented to the council? Do you have anything that you would like to add to that, share with the council? Okay. All right. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against this at this time? Okay. All right. I'll turn it over to the council.
Mayor, I have a couple council questions I'd like to ask Mr. Embler. Mr. Embler, based on the site plan on page 29 that was presented, or at least it details the parking information, with noted of the new landscaping that's going in that area, my question would be, if this is an automobile sales lot, and I know there's other ones in that area, how close to the road will they be allowed to advertise vehicles? Could you explain that to the council?
Well, let me explain to you on this larger site plan. There's, as you are well aware of, there's a NCDOT roadway improvement out there, or an enhancement project going on. This area here, immediately in front and right here, are landscape buffers that are gonna be created, as part of the landscaping that the DOT is doing. In addition to that, the actual lot varies from about a 5-foot setback to about a 3-foot setback because it's kind of skewed on the property. But it will not be all the way into the right of way. It will be set back some. Actually, out here in this area, even though it's all gravel, some preliminary investigations have been done, and there's actually pavement down and under the gravel there over the years. As the pavement deteriorated, they just picked it back up and put more dirt, gravel on top of it. But as part of this project, you will be required to pave it. In addition, there will be a new plant bed built on this side parallel to Parish Street. There'll be a plant bed here and a plant bed here. And both of these plant beds will have a fence that will screen the rear of the property from the roadway. And if you notice, these are staggered. So when you're looking at it from the road, it will look as if it's one continual fence, pretty much, but that it will be a screen from what's back here behind it. These trucks that are back here are with an existing repair facility that's been in there for several years now, and they'll be behind that screen. So, but to kind of answer your question, this is a 1 inch equal 20 scale map. So from the edge of the pavement to the start of the parking lot is 20 to 25 feet approximately. It's a pretty good little distance in there.
So vehicles won't be parked in the grassy area is what you're explaining?
No, this is DOT's right of way out here, and they can't park there. All the proposed pavements that they have are back off on the private property. And this driveway right here, DOT is going to pave it to approximately this point right here, and then the owner will pay the rest of this that you see in brown on this drawing here.
Thank you.
I have a question. Are you, what if you're having to get more than 10 cars? We don't need it to be a yard full of junk cars, and I'm not saying that's what you do, but we can't have cars just sitting there on top of each other.
No, my business is a lot of high rotation. I don't keep around, that's why I live in Houston. I don't have much asset, really, just kind of cover all bases.
You're going to guarantee we won't have more than 10? If that's the case, we'll have to revisit that.
Any additional questions at this time? I have a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Embler, or turn it over to the council? The findings of fact are located on page 10 of your agenda. We can either go through each one of those, or we can have a motion to approve all at one time.
Mayor, I move that we approve findings of fact numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4.
I'll second that motion, but I do have one additional question, if appropriate.
Okay.
Page 29.
Motion and a second. Go ahead, Mr. Scott.
Page 29, 30, and 31, there's 3 different site plans that are different. Which one will be the,
The one that's on page 29, what we included in the packet, the planning board, when it was first submitted, didn't feel that there was sufficient enough information provided by the client, and so we included all the packets in there, and you can see from page 31 to 30 back to 29 how the plan evolved to where what's proposed for your approval.
so the 29 will be the official?
Yes. Well, actually, they'll have to submit a detailed plan for the purposes of the zoning permit issuance on that, and then part of that will be a landscape plan as well as a paving plan, and they'll have to show us how they're gonna handle the drainage and those type of issues, part of that process.
The 29 says guide.
Yes.
Is what you're- is
That-
what I'm
That is
hearing.
for your benefit in making the
And he's
decision.
agreed to do that particular site.
Address your question,
Yeah.
Councilman Scott.
I'd just like to make a statement. It appears that this is going to be a huge impact on the improvement, the visual improvement of that area. I think it's very positive.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for approval of finding of facts. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Mayor, I move that we approve the request, and in light of Councilman Scott's question, my motion to approve the request would be conditioned upon using the site plan on page 29 of our packet as the guide. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this time we will move to our part of the agenda for citizens' comments. Any citizen that would like to come up and speak, please come to the front. I do have a couple of known people who would like to speak this evening. I will call Miss Washington up front first. Miss Lucy, we all know you, but if you will, please state your name and address for the record once you get to the front.
Lucy Washington. I live at 406 Birch Street in Smithfield, North Carolina. And I would like to, would you mind passing me that? Thank you. Okay, that should have one. Okay. Good evening. I'm here for, I brought this subject before, but I sent each one of you, a councilman, an email, and also to the mayor, so I'm assuming that you did receive it. I did get one response from one of the councilmen, and I thank you. But I'm speaking on behalf of the people, our neighbors that live on Birch Street, and this petition, that means that there's also, they're not here, some is here, but all of them are not here, 13 homeowners. And our problem, as you already know, is the water issue. I did send you an email. I mean, do you want me to read it again, or that won't be necessary? The email that I just want to make sure all of y'all received it.
Everybody
Yes,
received
ma'am.
Ms. Washington's
You did receive
email.
it? Okay.
Yeah, so probably no need, for the sake of time, probably no need to read the email, but.
Oh, okay, no problem. I said I didn't bring my glasses, but I tried to read it.
So, let's get it. So then probably best not to read it, right?
I tried. It says, "Dear Mayor, and the Moore, and the Councilman, I am a native of Smithfield. After high school, I went to New York, but my one desire was to return home and build my own home. After 35 years, I did return. I am a widower, and God blessed me to build a home on 406 Birch Street in Smithfield. I was not aware that there was no drainage pipe extending to the cul-de-sac that my home is built in. I had extra dirt put down and put a rubber pipe to help drain off the rainwater into the streets. Over the years, that has washed away. If we have a heavy rain, I cannot get to my mailbox. I have complained about this water many times to the council board and to Mr. Lynn Branch. He was the one who told me that the underground drainage pipe do not extend into the cul-de-sac. That information should have been told to the potential homeowners beforehand. The last heavy rain we had in February, I had so much water under my house out. It was almost running out of the trap door. I called the town because I thought a water pipe had broken. The men came out and tested the water and informed me that it was rainwater. And I had to go out and spend over $100 to get a water pump and a hose to pump the water from under the house. Now every time it rains, I have to get someone to hook up the pump and draw the water out. My home is 23 years old, and already the floor in my back bedroom creaks when I walk on it because of the dampness coming from under the house, which could create mold. I can't afford to put a new floor in. I am appealing to the councilman to consider extending the drainage pipe to the end of Birch Street. You did promise me at one town hall meeting that you would look into it as to how much it would cost to extend the drainage pipe, so the water will have some place to run into other than under our home. Please consider this project into your budget this year. As our councilman, I'm sure you will have your taxpayers' best interests at heart. Thank you for hearing me out. And now, tonight, I pass to you, we the taxpayer, citizen of Birch Street in Pine Acre subdivision, appeal to the town councilman to strongly consider doing something about the rainwater problem we have on our streets. Because the rainwater are not being run off as it should, it has damaged our street, under our homes and our driveways with cracks. It's only going to get worse. We ask you to consider our problem and find a solution. And I just noticed last few days that there's 3 big holes now right on Old Goldsboro Road, just as you enter into Birch Street. And that's only going to get larger unless it's repaired. We have 13 homeowners, and they all signed a petition because we all have the same problem, and I'm sure we're not the only one over in that area. But I also was told that we have not because we ask not. So I'm appealing to y'all to please do something about the water issue. You know, you buy a home and you want to feel that it will last for a while, at least as long as possible, but that haven't put a lot of money into getting it redone. As I said, I can't afford it. And I'm asking you to please consider, I know we got some money, grant money, and I know you already have plans probably to spend it, but I was told that you were going to look into extending the pipe, and I haven't heard anything else about it, so that's one reason why I brought it up again. Have y'all discussed it? Since the last time I brought it up.
So, I know Lenny has been out and looked at it, and I don't want to speak for him right now, Ms. Washington. I personally have been there after rains and actually have taken pictures in front of your house. I will say that I was out of town when your email came this week. I thought I forwarded it to Jim, and I just asked Jim. I have not forwarded your email. My apologies, but I will forward your email to our city manager. We do now have an engineer on staff, and Jim, I would ask that you ask the engineer to go out and take a look and then report, if it pleases the council, to come back and report to us what that is, and then let's see if there is something that can be done from a town standpoint, and we'll look at it during budget session. But Jim, if you want to.
Lenny, I know Bill was here today. Is he going to be back this Thursday? Can you arrange to meet him and her meet together and you're on site and take a look at the situation and then maybe get back with me on it. And as we work it up, as maybe we can have a follow-up report to them. And I'm working on the budget with Greg now, and we'll take a look at what we can do from there and then bring it back. But we'll try to get it this week to meet with her if we can.
Yeah, Ms. Washington, the engineer and I referred to is part-time.
Yeah.
We have him on contract, so he'll be back here Thursday. And I asked that you get with him, and let's try to get over there and take a look at it this week.
All right, I must say thanks to the branch that they did come out and build up my, the curve.
Yeah.
At my driveway. But in doing so, I think that they lifted up, but the water started running back, and it's really in the back of my house now because, water just don't run upstream, you know. And their area is low. So I don't know if another drainage pipe down there would help. I mean, something got to be done. I love my home, I enjoy it, but I can't afford to have to pay somebody to pump the water out after buying the pump myself. So I'm just asking you to please. And you said, okay, you can't guarantee it will be Friday.
Thursday.
Yeah, he'll be back Thursday.
Oh, he'll be back Thursday.
Yeah, so let's let him get back, and then hopefully he can go out and look at it.
Lenny can coordinate it with you
Hopefully
and him,
Thursday.
since he's here.
Mr. Mayor,
We'll go out there.
Yes, sir. Councilman Harris.
while he and Lenny are out there, have them look, I would like for them to look at the whole subdivision. Obviously, there's a problem on Hurst Street, but my recollection is there may be some other problems out there in Pine Acres with water standing or drainage issues. So while they're out there, and Lenny has some history on this, I know, we should take a look at that whole subdivision, see if there's any other issues while we're looking at this.
All right, good idea. Thank you, Ms. Washington. At this time,
Well, I just wanted to.
go ahead, Councilman Harris.
You will follow up after Thursday, follow up with the council via email?
Yeah, as I mentioned with Lenny, as soon as they come back and see me when I'm back in town next week, and then we can go over it and then follow up with council on it.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Washington. Next, I think Mr. Antoine Williams, maybe on the same subject. Do we have it covered? Yeah. We'll look at the entire, but is yours regarding Pine Acres though?
Pine Acres, I'm over on Cedar.
Okay, all right.
We've been having this trouble for the past 30 years.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, so we'll have them look at the entire area. Okay, Mr. Tony Nixon, I think, wanted to say a few words about Smith Collins. Is that right?
Good evening. Yeah, briefly, I just wanted to express a concern. I'm sorry. My name's Tony Nixon. I reside at 8 Cedar Drive in Smithfield, Pine Acres. Just wanted to briefly address an idea that we came up as a part of the East Smithfield Improvement Organization for Smith Collins Park, and we certainly appreciate the efforts of Parks and Rec for all of the improvements that they've put in place over the past year and a half to help bring the park back to a standard of use for the community. The East Smithfield Improvement Organization actually sponsors a Fun in the Park event each year, which we provide free of charge for the entire community, not just East Smithfield, but the entire community of Smithfield, and I know several of you have had an opportunity to attend that, and we certainly appreciate the support there. So now we're asking, as an organization, if the town would consider the East Smithfield Improvement Organization operating the concession stand there to offset some of the costs to fund our Fun in the Park to serve the community. Whereas the East Smithfield Improvement Organization would stock and man the concession throughout the spring and summer season at the Smith Collins Park for different events and that sort of thing. That would also help offset some of the costs that we would use to serve the community.
Okay.
Look, that's the first I've heard.
Yeah.
Talk with Gary on it, so.
So Tony, we'll check into that. City manager's made note of it. We'll check into that and get back with you on it.
Mayor, I'd like to
I don't
comment
know
on
the
that.
pluses and minuses.
We might feel, kind of leery about these get back to you things now.
Just bring me a cigar, we'll get it done. No, all serious, 2
Maybe.
weeks, is that enough
That's more
time?
than enough. I'll be back in next week and have a light schedule, so.
Hey.
Gary and I think we can get together this week at first of next week when I come back in.
So Tony.
And give me a call if you don't hear anything by Thursday from me. No, next week. Okay? Just check and balance. Not this week. This week ain't gonna work.
Councilman Scott, I think you had a comment?
Yeah, I'd just like to comment on that topic. I've had the opportunity to meet with this group and talk with them about certain things, and I just want to remind the council and the citizens that this structure we're talking about was pretty much in despair, and we took interest in it, and it's actually been brought up to a standard. However, with the lack of use, it will slowly deteriorate if we don't use it, and I do think it's important to point out that Mr. Nixon and East Smithfield Improvement Organization, along with many of the community churches and things in that area, a lot of this stuff they provide us for free, and I know that it'll go to a good cause, and it's localized in that area, so I highly would encourage the staff to find that favorable in their interest. I just want to make sure to make that point clear, and I think it's also important to realize it's currently vacant, and it's already needing some things. On my last visit, some of the painting and things, if we don't occupy it, it's only going to fall down further. So, but I'd also like to thank them for what their interests are and what's happening there, and also, with the fun in the park, that possibly could help them have some money to cover some of their expenses, because they have a lot of expenses. That program.
All right. I had someone else sign in on citizens' comments, Mr. Howard. Come forward. If you will, please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Darian Howard. I reside at 430 East Rose Street, Smithfield, North Carolina. And I guess my question to the council is for clarity. On behalf of the parents and some of the students at the county and the players at the Smithfield Summer Academy, we want to know, do we have this council support at keeping our kids playing? We don't know if they're going to close it down or what's going to happen with it. And we want to know exactly from you guys, not from anyone else, what's going to happen with our kids in that program, if anything.
So I'll comment, and you guys feel free to chime in, but Mr. Howard, at this time, we don't have any knowledge or anything as far as the program, as far as discontinuing that program or anything. I think the council itself knows very little about the Smithfield Selma Sports Academy, so we're learning that ourselves. But I'm not aware of anything to shut it down. Jim,
Mayor,
future.
I was going to call you Mayor. You got promoted, council member. Lee saw me on this last Wednesday, I believe, and I don't know the background, but him and I had talked, and we had promised that we would get together, and we set a date of April the 18th of trying to get the facts to him and to all the council members of what, I am not aware, I'm just learning about the program myself. I know the council has no control of what's going on at this point, but what I heard is that we needed to look into the situation, get back with the council member, and get back with council on this, and just see what the issue is and see where we can go, if there's a policy or is there something we can do. But at this point, I believe what I'm learning and could be corrected, is that we really don't have any, the city itself technically doesn't have any control in terms of the money, the checks and things of that sort. It's a good program, it's a needed program, but we just need to get to the facts and see what we could do in terms, and it's using our facilities, and that's one of the things that we want to look at in regards to, in talking to Ms. Lee there is, and getting back to council, is saying, is there something here from a policy standpoint, because they're using our facilities, we can adopt and help assure that we can go forward with this thing? So I can't give you an answer at this point.
Let me stop you right there. The facility they've been using up to this point has been a facility we don't own.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
The
I thought
Johnson
there was
County
some-
School System owns that facility.
Yeah,
See?
Now, let's,
yeah, because this is citizens' comments, I don't want to really get into a huge debate.
See,
Let-
that's-
let-
what you need to correct it.
I just want to correct you, no offense.
Yeah, no problem.
Out of due respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's say, our manager is aware of it, he's been contacted and so forth. He's checking into some things and is going to
And
get
I'd like
back to us
get
with a
you on
report.
some more points on that.
Right, so,
Well, and to answer your question, I think there's nothing before this council, there's nothing, we've not been asked to decide anything about the operation of the Smithfield Summer Sports Academy. So there's nothing before us to even address the concerns you're having.
So, as this moment, it's not a concern. Because my son wants to know, some of the parents are here, they want to know, are we gonna have a program for our kids to be in?
right.
My question to you is, do you know how this program originated? Who it was for, and pretty much, do you know the background history of it?
Not all the background. I know that my kids played it last year, they're playing this year, and it's a good program.
So again, just for the sake of things, this is citizens' comments, and I'm trying to hold this to 3 minutes, okay? We are aware of it. It's not the time to debate the issue. We don't have the facts right now. We know very little. Let's get it. But
If you stick around during the councilman's comments, I'm gonna give you the history of it.
So,
If you stick around, I'll tell you the whole history, who it's for, and,
Councilman Lee, just,
All right.
if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Howard,
Stick around.
we will look into this. We have your address. If you'll give the clerk your telephone number, and we'll follow back up with this and let you know.
Mayor Moore,
Yes, sir.
I would like to ask him one question if it's, just a simple information thing.
you're
I'm new to the council, and I know very little about the program. Could you, in 45 seconds, tell us a little bit about it? Volunteers, how many students are involved, where they're from, et cetera?
Well, last year, I can tell you about what I've seen and what I've been through. I don't know, like you said, the history of it. I know what my kids go through and the kids I've seen go through in the program. It gets the kids off the street, give them a chance to come in and participate in basketball. And the understanding I have is, they get to get and do things together and compete and learn how to play the sport in a proper way. It's not just run up and down the court. You get the structure on how to play the positions and stuff like that, which my son last year did not touch basketball. And then this year, middle school almost won a championship for this year, They won game away, lost one game. He improved that much in that program. So I care about that personally myself. I don't understand the history of it. I just know what my son went through and why he wants to stay there. So that's why I'm here, personally for myself and my child. Other parents are here for the same reason. And so, when you hear it might be going away, you would answer. Only answer you can get is from your council. That's why I'm here.
Yeah. So, and let me just clarify, Mr. Howard, I think it's already been stated that this is not a town-run program.
Right.
So we do not have any authority to shut this program down, to be honest. You said, I keep hearing the comment about it going away and you don't know the status. Well, this board, we do not have that ability to close this down. We simply don't, all right? But we're learning about it, and because potentially our facilities could be used, then I think it's only wise for us to check into it and to gain those facts that you're seeking.
Well, that's all I can ask you to do.
Without hesitation, I will say I agree with this program. My son played in it last year. He did improve. Unfortunately, he was not able to keep up. Some kids develop differently, and basketball just wasn't his thing. He did participate in the soccer program, and he did very well there. What I want to do as a council member is figure out how I can help you develop more programs. Again, you're self-supported. We have nothing technically to do financially with your group. I want to offer more for volleyball, gymnastics, whatever we can offer to help our youth and help our kids. So, without hesitation, I want to thank you and all the other members of the academy for their help. And what they did for my son last year was very helpful. He just couldn't keep up. So sometimes you have to believe that. You have to learn that the hard way. But I thank you. And to Mayor Moore's point, we really can't do anything for it as far as that's terms. So thank you.
I'd like to thank the council for your time also.
Yes, sir. And thank you, Mr. Howard.
Thank you.
Anyone else that would like to come forward and speak? I think I saw Mr. Ham first. Ham, if you would come forward, state your name. I think we all know you, but state your name and address for the record. And Dale, if you don't mind, if you can raise that microphone up a little bit. We are recording this for TV. I appreciate it.
Can you hear now? Better? Yeah. My name is Dale Ham. I live at 33 Bradford Street in Smithfield, North Carolina. I happen to be the director of the Smithfield Recreation and Aquatic Center. I know we're not here to debate anything about an academy. There's so many things going out in the public, in the social media, that this is a basketball thing. However, from the beginning, this sports academy was not just about basketball. There was actually a soccer team, there was a basketball team, and there was a baseball team. So I think there's a lot of facts that a lot of people don't know and have not been aware of those, that the academy, and I'm not going to get into this whole thing, is that, yes, there are town facilities being utilized by the academy without financing. Or if there is financing, there's no one's willing to show those records that I've asked. I've personally asked for policies. I've personally been asked to coach a basketball team that I declined because it did not fall under what the academy was meant for. So I know a lot of parents are worried that their kids aren't going to be able to play basketball, or they're not going to be able to play baseball or soccer. I think before, and I would ask that the council looks at this, is that they look that policies are in place and there is oversight and that things are done the correct way based on the mission that the Sports Academy was developed for. What's the mission? To serve the kids that would be attending Smithfield Selma High School and enhance those kids participating in the Smithfield and Selma recreation programs. There are kids that participate in those rec programs that needed more. So this was an outlet for them to be able to get more exposure, to play on a higher level than a rec league. So this academy was actually, I'm going to say, thrown on to a group of 50-plus community coaches, Johnson County school administrators, people, alumni from Smithfield Selma High School, trying to figure out the pride, or how to get the pride back into Smithfield Selma High School. Okay?
Guys, I'm sorry. I cannot let this get out of control, and I'm not going to let it get out of control. We're not going to stand up here and debate this tonight, okay? Mr. Ham, if it's the citizens' comments, address the council, and we will address any questions, and then we'll go on to the next person, okay?
All I ask is that when y'all look at the academy, is look at the policies and that they're being followed, and the oversight and the financials for it. That's all I ask.
Okay, will do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Anyone else like to speak? Yes, sir. And if you will, again, state your name and address also, please.
My name is Patrick Kent. I live at 901 North Avenue, Smithfield, North Carolina. How you doing, Mr. Mayor?
How you doing, sir?
I got a big problem about the pool that's in our neighborhood. It hasn't been open in like 5 years. And we, in our neighborhood, trying to figure out why the pool is not open. We know we got the aquatic center, but everybody can't go to the aquatic center. Everybody doesn't have a car. Everybody doesn't have the money to go to the aquatic center. But we do have a big pool over here in our neighborhood that's just going to waste. And I just want to know what the town of Smithfield want to do about it. Are y'all going to tear it down, or y'all going to give us back the pool?
So I don't think we have an answer for you tonight. That has been a topic, and I know some of the council has expressed to me that we need to make a decision on this one way or the other. So we will discuss this during our budget session, and hopefully, I can't speak for the board, but I do know that many have expressed thoughts to me is that we need to make a decision one way or the other. If we're going to open it, let's open it. If we're going to close it, there's been talks about changing its use to a different use. We just haven't gotten there yet because, honestly, because of budgetary reasons in the past, it has been very, very strained, okay? But we're gradually coming out of that and have come out of that. So I think it's now time to make that decision because the residents do deserve an answer, whether it's we're not going to do anything, we're going to fill it in, we're going to plant grass, or whether we're going to open it back up as a pool or we're going to open it back up as another use. But I can't sit here tonight and tell you what that's going to be, but what I can tell you is that we will look at it during budget time, and because, again, I know many councilmen have expressed that concern.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Anyone else like to speak? Citizens' comments? Okay. Seeing none, we will move on to business items. Thanks everybody for your comments this evening. Oh yeah, sorry. Next item up is consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Consent agenda carries. So now we'll move on to our business items. The first item of business, I'll ask the Finance Director, Mr. Greg Seiler, to come to the front. And it is the consideration for approval of the lowest bid with First Citizens Bank on rolling stock financing.
Correct.
Seiler?
Good evening, council. Approximately a month ago, an RFP was sent out to local banks, inviting them to bid on some $376,000 worth of vehicle purchases. We got back numerous bids this time around, 6 in fact, but First Citizens was the lowest bidder with 1.42%. That is financing for just under 60 months with annual payments of $78,069 per year. There are 2 resolutions attached. One is awarding the bid to First Citizens, and as a separate matter is the declaration of an official intent to reimburse, as the town has already purchased the knuckle boom truck and a 3/4 ton pickup truck. And so we're seeking reimbursements for those 2 purchases. Any questions?
Mr. Seiler, it's clear you've done a lot of research on this topic and had quite a bit of interest. I just want to express my appreciation to you for your efforts in this. I had one question. Based on the information that you provided, when we start looking at the budgeting process, this stuff was in our last year's budget. This is pretty.
I'm sorry, say again?
In our last year's budget, or the current budget we're in, this was all allocated.
The, what was in the budget was loan proceeds designated for this.
And it actually showed as a revenue, and that's what this process is. It's things that's already been approved.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Seiler? If not, we have two resolutions. Resolution 583 for approving financing terms and Do I have a motion to approve that resolution?
I make a motion to approve both resolutions.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 583 and Resolution 584, the declaration of intent to reimburse. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you much.
Thank you. Okay, next item, I ask Mr. Cradle to come forward, please, our Public Utilities Director. The next business item is the consideration and bid award to Mizell Construction Services for the construction and improvements at Pump Station Number 3 and the force main extension in NC Highway 210 in the amount of $350,000 and approval of the cost estimate for Duke Energy for $61,677.11. Mr. Cradle, turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, gentlemen. As you guys know, this project was undertaken and designed last fall to upgrade, to provide some much-needed upgrades at Pump Station 3. It will also simultaneously take the force main running down Highway 210 and connect directly to the county line, which will alleviate some of the burden from Pump Station Number 1, which is right there at the river and the bridge. So the plans were designed, it was bid. We received the bids on March 1st. The low bid was Mizell Construction. It was within project budget, which was previously approved by council. So that's what we're here to do, is try and get an approval from that. That is one of two pieces. The second piece was Duke Energy. Duke Energy has to do some needed electrical work to provide appropriate power sourcing for the upgrades. And that cost estimate also in your packet is about $61,677. So that's what we're here to do, is get the approval for those two bids and projects and keep moving forward with the repair for Highway 210.
Okay. Any questions for Ted?
Mr. Cradle, I do have a couple of questions. First, I wanted to ask you, I haven't really had a chance to follow up with you about this topic. Have you had time to look over the big picture, and do you agree with this recommendation? That's my first question.
Let me ask for clarification on the question. Do I agree with going for the low bid in this particular contractor, or do I agree with this is the right technical approach to solve the problem?
My question is, do you agree with spending this money for this specific piece of the project?
Yes, sir.
My next question is, understanding you guys have a meeting coming up, I think 6, maybe tomorrow, with the county about the sewer rates.
Thursday morning, yes, sir.
How is this going to affect our current sewer billing with this connection of the high pressure?
The way the county, the way I understand the way the county bills our sewer, it will not affect the overall cost in any way, shape, or form. Essentially, the way they bill us is they have a master meter, if you will, at the plant, and then they have individual connection points for Selma, Kinley, and all the other municipalities they serve. So they take the master meter and subtract out those pieces, and we get what's left. So this will not affect or they charge us for what's left. That will not affect how this works, because those other pieces and points will not be affected, so they'll still have their master and those various metering points.
I understand it's getting a little off context based on what's before us, but that is a major point we need to focus on, is making sure that we're being fairly billed. And I know that there's some discussion about how to proceed with that, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Any additional questions for Ted? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve this request.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much, Mr. Cradle.
What we need is good money.
At this time,
I'll call upon our STRAC Director, Dale Ham, and Human Resources Officer, Tim Kerrigan, to talk about the consideration and approval of an employee wellness program. It's on page 117 of your agenda, gentlemen.
Technical difficulties.
Don't worry, this always happens to me in my meetings at work as well. It was
Would you like me
on.
to go ahead, you want me to start?
That's a great presentation, Tim.
I know.
You spent a lot of time on that. You let Dale down.
I don't know.
Do we need to take an intermission?
For the next one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I just go?
Why don't you go ahead,
Okay.
Dale?
Yes, in your packets, my name is Dale Ham, Director of the Smithfield Recreation Aquatic Center. We would like to try to implement an employee wellness program to encourage healthier and happier employees by decreasing absenteeism, reducing medical costs, increasing productivity, increasing employee retention, and decreasing workers' compensation for the employees of town of Smithfield. By participating in biometric readings and health risk appraisals, we will be able to provide education to our employees so that they may be able to make better personal health decisions for themselves. By incentivizing employees to participate in biometrics and participating in the wellness program, we anticipate a 90% participation rate. If a town employee was to participate in the biometric readings, they would receive a 100% payment of personal health insurance premiums as they currently do. If they choose not to participate, they would simply be required to pay the $50 a month towards their premium. This allows us to provide better premiums and better health for our employees, both now and in the future. Under this proposal, there is no adverse budget consequences. In fact, we foresee a savings perhaps for the year 16-17, and hopefully much greater in years to follow. We have already budgeted $20,000 for implementation during the 15-16 budget for this program. We would like to ask the town council to approve the proposed employee wellness program at the recommended $50 a month premium differential for all employees that participate in the program. The program would be implemented for the year of 2016-17 while providing employees up to 6 months to complete their biometric readings and risk appraisals. We plan to host both on-site and off-site testing opportunities.
Any questions for Mr. Ham?
I believe there's an attached sheet that has the proposal for the biometrics readings and the cost and what exactly the biometric measures are.
118.
What did you say the penalty was?
It would be a $50 a month premium differential. So as we have it currently, is the town covers that.
How often do they take this screening?
Presently, we would recommend a year annually, as well as other education and promotional items.
What does that mean?
Analysis, if they want to ask
Yeah.
me anything as
Yeah,
well.
that's what I'm saying.
This is follow-up to what we've discussed in the past of looking at having the wellness program. Our plan, as we've been working with consultants, are looking at having a 2-year program of biometrics so that we will be able to identify where we need to focus our education and where we need to focus our efforts. There has been some
concern that I've heard from some people that have wondered if there would be any HIPAA violation. Will we be looking at individuals' biometrics, and that is not the case. We would get a cumulative report back. So therefore, we could identify, is diabetes an issue? Is that something that then we could implement a education program upon that? So there would be no violation. It's not much different from the county, other organizations, other municipalities or the state health plan, where they're going with their implementation. We're just taking it a little bit slower.
Is there a support system for the employee? For instance, if they get their, because they'll get their numbers sent to them. You won't have that sent to you. You'll just notice that employee A has done his assessment. Is there a hotline or something they can contact to follow up with how they need to address this?
That's actually a question that I've heard from other
There
employees.
should be, because if not, it really doesn't do us any good.
Correct. And when they go in for these biometrics, it is on an individual basis.
That's right.
Is that they are one-on-one, having their blood drawn and going through the health risk appraisal, which is a questionnaire, as well as measurements. And they get those results right then. And they meet one-on-one with a health consult professional there. So they get immediate return right then, and then we, as a whole afterwards, would get the summary, and that would give us a direction of which way to go. So if we were to get a summary that, 25% of our employees are diabetic, or 50% of them have high cholesterol or heart disease risk factors, that gives us a way to strategically plan our wellness program moving forward off of those results.
So they're going to test everything there.
They get that right then, and it's actually within that, I think, week, few days. Is that?
Yeah.
We would get a summary of that. But we would not know, for example, if Roger Wood has high cholesterol, or
I don't, but I do have diabetes.
or Mr. Scott has diabetes, or Mayor Moore, is a smoker. We would not know that. We would know a percentage or a number cumulative.
The only thing I would like to see add there is they follow back up. I go through and we have something similar to this with my company I work for. Fortunately, we do have a line or a support system. So if I'm not on track or getting on medicine, if I forget, they'll send you a note literally about the 35th, 40th day. If you haven't got your prescription filled, they're going to figure out what's going on. Now, that's obviously through our insurance, and this will be through your insurance here. That's the only caveat I would like to see we add, if that's possible.
And with that consultation, based on those readings, that wellness coach would, if there was a need for a referral.
Okay, yeah, as long as there's something there to support the individual.
The support will definitely be there. That is always available, but the employee does not have to accept that.
So I'm sorry, Council Manager. One question I have is, I also have this in my private employment where we do this, and we have the coaches and so forth when we do the screenings. The difference, though, is that if I do this, my company pays me $50. If I don't do it, I'm not penalized for it. So I guess I have a little bit of a concern that if an employee chooses not to participate in this, that they're going to have higher premiums per month.
You said $50 a month.
$50 per month. I don't believe that was discussed.
I don't recall
when we talked about this program. Is there any possibility of us, we've got $20,000 budgeted for it. I mean, is there any?
I agree with Mayor Moore. My company pays me $100 because it benefits them to do that. Because their rates obviously are better.
I mean, I think it's a great idea.
I don't agree with
it's a great idea, and I think we should do it, but I'm not very sold on penalizing the employee
$50 a month.
Can we table this 30 days, just for sheer legal reasons? That's something.
Mayor,
Sure.
I have ELC concerns, Gina concerns, and disability concerns. I don't know the answer. I can go into 30 days.
Bob, can you follow up with that, with Tim and Dale, before we can even, I guess we're supposed to try and vote on this tonight. I'm not gonna vote until we get those until we get answers to those questions, excuse me. Is that fair enough, Mayor Moore?
Yes, sir. I think there were a couple of other questions, though, while we're on the topic. Councilman Ashley, did you have a
I
comment or a
did.
question?
Well, my question may have already been answered, but I was just going to suggest that why can't we consider this as part of the budget discussions when we are reviewing these plans? Why, is there a need to do it before the budget sessions?
No, we were just following up from previous discussions as to implementing a wellness program, so Dale's been a great help in doing this.
Right.
So we were just trying to implement that plan.
Because I actually brought that up last year,
Yeah.
but Bob's point, I don't wanna sit here and vote on something that's unlawful.
We certainly.
I mean, I understand that. I
we-
mean, you gotta
we've
understand
been-
my position there.
We've been faced, as everyone has, of trying to keep healthcare costs down.
Sure.
So the discussion that we had received, the direction prior, was to how can we maintain some of that? Other state health plans have something similar, which we were considering in the past, so it was directed to bring that back. But we will certainly do whatever you direct.
Okay, Councilman Scott.
Mayor, my question to the gentleman is, in fact, it follows up with your question. It states that it's a $50 towards their premium, quote unquote, and I know that could vary. My question is, are you guaranteeing the employee they're gonna get the $50 if they participate, or do they have to pass certain parts? You're just saying participation only?
They have to do no other incentive. So we would only be taking the biometrics for the first 2 years is what we have looked at, just if you participate.
Okay.
And the second. So therefore, you don't have to go from a BMI of 36 down to any other percentage.
And if they smoke or whatever, it's not gonna penalize them as long as they participate. And the other point I wanted to make sure I clarify is this states it's voluntary. It's up to the employee. They will not be punished if they don't participate. They will be punished.
Cost them $600 a month. $600 a year if they do not participate, which we just brought that up, so we need to.
I'm not sure what the definition of participate means. The little bit of knowledge I have on these wellness programs, the people I know go through a screening process, and then if they're willing to exercise or whatever it is they're supposed to do, then they get a break. The people who would choose not to do that, and my older brother is an example. He has health insurance. I believe I'm right in saying that if he participates at the gym or whatever the program is, he gets a lower rate on his health insurance premiums. It may be through the state of Georgia, I don't know. But I can tell you that if he misses a week at the gym, he has told me that they call him on the telephone. If he's at the beach or somewhere on vacation, they call him on the telephone to find out why he's not there. He's having to do something other than a test to get a break. And I don't know that that's what I heard. Maybe that's what the intent was, but I think that's more of what I was thinking on a wellness program, just taking a test.
That is what you heard. We're not requiring a participation for going and checking into the gym, to the gym or anything such as that. We're just saying, be tested. Get in tune with your own body, your wellness. Make sure that you're going to a physician. Make sure that then we can also assist in educating the employees as a whole, because it will not be individual. It would be as a whole. We have discussed other options of possibly having something where employees could sign in and have a little bit more observation or guidance through our own employees, through Dell and his staff. So that's not what we're asking for right now.
Go ahead, Roger.
No, I'm sorry, I thought you were finished.
I was just going to say, when I read this, it says if you don't participate, you got to pay $50. I think that's a question I heard from Mayor Moore, and it's certainly my question. The ones I have seen, if you don't participate, you don't get a break. If you do participate, you get a break. And that leads to more participants getting a lower premium rate from your insurer, I think is the way I understood it. So that would be more of what I would think we should look at if that's even feasible.
The other point of that is, you're talking about the employees. A lot of the employees have their spouse and children. Will you be looking at them as well?
No.
Because I know some programs do.
At this point, that was not what had been.
So I think it's something we could definitely look into. I know with my company, my spouse is included in on that, and she has the opportunity to get her screening and participate in online programs, just like Councilman Harris was talking about. You can sign up for a coach, and they'll call you every week. They'll email you, everything. So I think it's probably something we can look into.
And we are currently going through a proposal from our brokers, so that might be something that we could look at.
Well,
Any of the
I would like to
questions?
see other options. Yeah, I appreciate, because I did bring this up last year, and I appreciate you following up. But I agree with Councilman Rabel. I think we can kind of twist this thing where we're not going to penalize somebody. Better benefit. It's going to better benefit the towns and your premium if you participate, because it's all up to the individual. So maybe I didn't explain it well enough during the budget talks, and if I didn't, I apologize, but I appreciate what you did. I want to get away from charging somebody if they don't want to do it. I don't think that's right, in my opinion.
So I would make a motion that we table this and direct the town manager to put this discussion into the budget process.
Second.
Well, can I make an amendment to that?
Sure.
As well as Mr. Spence will please answer the questions that he has been tasked with in a timely manner before the budget talks start.
So Bob, can you do your legal review in 30 days, you think? Does that give you enough time?
That's fine.
So, Bob, okay, so
Sorry,
Bob can
yeah.
get back to us in 30 days, but we'll still table this until budget
Mayor,
discussion.
can I make one comment?
Yes, sir.
Is that, as y'all have stated, is that many of your companies offer these benefits for your employees? Is that?
I didn't hear your question.
As you both have stated, is that your companies already offer?
Yes.
And these are very common wellness programs for employees. The biggest thing about wellness is the awareness and making those employees aware of what they normally would not get on their own. So what we're trying to do is let our employees, as we know, is 50% of said employees do not even visit their doctor on an annual or every 2 to 5 year basis. So what we're proposing with this is that they at least get that part of awareness directly through the town of Smithfield.
And I don't doubt that. I just don't think it's right to penalize somebody that chooses not to do that. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Gentlemen, I have a motion and a second on the table to, yes, sir.
You're gonna have to give them a questionnaire.
Yeah, they would actually,
Can I see the questionnaire?
yes, it is, yes. It's actually, there's
Same
two
one that
ways they
Johnson
can.
has? Same
It's
one the county
actually,
has?
we're contracting with we would contract with Johnson Health, which
Not
would be
the health,
affiliated
not
with
the
Breck's Wellness,
Not
which,
the county. Whatever.
Yeah, can you guys take this up offline? I have a motion and a second to table this until the budget. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, business item number 4. Yep, downtown revitalization grant projects. Jim, is that you?
Oh, I can tell
Or is
you
that
about
Ted?
Ted.
Oh, Ted.
Ted's did the
Oh,
work.
go
but
ahead, Ted.
Let me preface
Sorry.
this, though.
I had your name down here. Sorry.
No problem. As you know, we received a $97,000 a grant that we didn't anticipate in getting, and we got. We have to get back to the state budget office our grant application. We probably should have got it back in February or that. We've been knowing late. But at the last council meeting, I think everybody got involved and we all kind of agreed or concur that part of that, which about $56,000, may need to go to the streetscape. And the council was going to bring up some other information tonight about adding some other projects to it. Since that time, I believe Ted has taken over and reviewed the numbers on the streetscape and wants to basically update those numbers. He's our certified engineer now too. And leave it back to council here. Do we need to do what we were going to do before, need to do the whole thing, or do we need to split it up? What I really would like for us to do is give me some idea where I can set that grant application into the state and get that going on the whole 97,000. Mayor, with that, I'll let Ted take over.
So before you get started, Ted, I remind the council, we made a motion to approve roughly $56,000 for the lighting, okay? So that's what we had approved already. So, Ted?
Thank you, sir.
Take it away, sir.
All right. Good evening, gentlemen, again.
Were you aware of that?
Let him down the path.
This was originally designed to be a 4-hour presentation. I'll try and go quick, because I know it's already 8:30. Market Street Streetscape, obviously, as Manager Freeman said, I was tasked to look at the lighting of the trees along Market Street. The town's desiring to improve the streetscape. We have use of grant funds for improvement. The budgetary number I was given was $96,000, so this is going to skew towards that. Obviously, you can split it up how you guys desire. So the question was, what does $96,000 actually purchase? In June of 2014, almost 2 years ago, the improvements along Market Street between 5th Street and basically the Mucho Mexico, that was looked at, and the cost estimate for lighting those trees was $56,000. I think that's where the number, to my knowledge, that's where the number came from. And for whatever reason, it's been put on hold or has been slipped through the cracks or whatnot. So the question I was posed, well, how much would it take to go, there's a desire from the council, at least the direction I was given, to improve the lighting of the street trees from Front Street all the way to Brightleaf. Let's get the whole Market Street looking good. Remember back in the initial investigation, there were only 16 trees that we had to light, but now the entire frontage more than doubles that. There's now 38 that we have to light. So in order to get a good look, and I know you guys have seen the yards and whatnot, we're looking for a light on each side of the tree, on the ground, uplighting the tree. So we got a contractor to go out there and look at it, to see what he could do for submitting a bid to get this done. It was broken up in 3 different, I asked him to look at it in 3 different ways. First, a complete and total turnkey job. You just do it. Tell me how much it costs. Secondly, assuming that would be a bit much, let me know per block, if you will, front to second, second to third, third to fourth, et cetera, a price on each block. And then last, even if you start piecemealing things, like you couldn't, if you wanted to do second to third, then 6th to 7th, that wouldn't look right. You could do it, obviously, but I think you'd probably not like the end product. The largest cost to this job is doing the bores. Everything, the wiring and the conduit that has to be underground. So I said, the third thing I want you to do is please look at just what it takes to get the bores constructed and put in with the conduit. Because that price will never come down. It's only going to go up. If you put it off for a couple of years, it'll be more expensive, et cetera. So can we at least get that done? So these are what he went out there, he walked the line, or he walked the street with Rodney and went up and down, and they looked at it. He got back to me. The complete and total turnkey job was $210,000. That's a little much. And then he broke it down per block, and you can see certain sections, Front Street, second and third, are a lot more expensive, and that has to do with the nature of the sidewalk there. There's brick sidewalk rather than concrete, and you pull up the bricks, you have to pull them up rather than break them, and then when you pull them up, you got concrete to go through. And there's not available electricity, so you have to bore and pull it through. And then if you just do the bores in those given blocks, those same given blocks, that's the cost on the far right, and that total is $57,000. So the question is, the town desired at one point, the direction I was given, to do the entire thing, all the way from, I know it's small, but this is Front Street, and that's right, all the way down, and that's 38 trees. 210,000, and what he did not include was the actual fixture, because we was given no direction as to which fixture to purchase. So that's to pull the wire, drill the bores, set it up, put an outlet, get it ready, but not the fixture. A little expensive. The second one, the per block option, if you go back and do the math on that chart I had, we can basically cover 3rd Street down to Brightleaf. That covers 22 of the 38 trees, and that can get done for about $88,000 or $89,000, again, not including the fixtures, but that can get done. The drawback is from 3rd Street down the front or all the way to the river, there's nothing there. There's no conduit, there's no lighting, there's no anything. But certainly you can get a large portion of Market Street lit. So this is, then I said, go back and look, the third part of the bid, just look at the bores. What would it cost just to put all the bores in? They could fund from 4th Street down to Brightleaf Boulevard, covering 15 of the 38 trees. This is if he did those sections and then all the bores down Front Street. So it would be ready, if you got any future funds or desire in a future budget, that would be ready. And that could get done for $65,000, again, not including any of the fixtures. So then if you just do the bores, and I know, again, it's hard to see, I apologize. These are just a little bit lines here. Just put them in, get them done. Just create the bores and pull the conduit. All of them will be done, all the way from Front Street to Brightleaf, and that, again, is for $57,000. So overall, obviously, we cannot quite cover the entire run. It's just too much there for the amount of money that we have to spend. Certainly not doing the contractor to do the work. We can piecemeal some of the things and maybe lay some foundation in. But then, obviously, the good idea, what about the good people of the town of Smithfield? What about our guys, those linemen that we just honored tonight? What if we utilized our own workforce? After all, my guys are capable. We're just not trained, nor do we have the equipment to make the bores and pull the conduit. It's just not something we do. We're up on the lines. We're not under the ground. So Rodney broke down the cost for me, what it would cost to buy the materials. This is, again, no bores at all, but just buying the fixtures, the wires, et cetera, all the way to per block. And if you look at the total at the bottom, even if you just did a few blocks at a time, the total is $42,000. So we're throwing numbers around that kind of, they're in the right ballpark. They may not be exactly what you want, but they're in the ballpark. If we combined the contractor doing just the bores and then us doing the line work, we get a $99,645. Again, it's a bit over the 96 I was given as a number, but it is in the ballpark. So let's go back, and I've thrown a lot of numbers at you. Let's see what $96,000 actually buys if we combine the contractor doing the bores and the town doing the work. We get the combined option of 2nd Street all the way down to Brightleaf covered. It covers 31 of the 38 trees. We're only missing Front to 2nd, and that'll get done, but that also leaves the bores already created for future conduit between Front and 2nd. So, and that cost is about $10,000 on that block in that chart. That's why I stopped at 91. I couldn't go to 101. It's over the 96,000 number I was given. So here are the caveats. None of these prices reflect the cost for traffic control. Between 3rd and Brightleaf, there's a lot of parking. You can close the parking lanes down as you work in that area, either side of the street. Between Third and Front, there's no parking. You've got to close the lane down to get safety and get the bores done and that sort of thing. That traffic control alone, budgetary reasons, about $10,000 per lane per week. Probably take about a week to do what we need to do. So that was never considered. It's not the kind of work you can kind of go out and say, well, 10,000 here, 4,000 there, 3,000. It has to be done kind of a time and materials basis, but budgetarily, it's 10,000 per lane per week. Again, the contractor did not include any of the fixtures in his quote. That was just conduit and pulling wire. And this was a key element, and I think this is the way I was leaning, and I assume you guys would lean the way, but I won't presume to speak for you. Getting us to do the work ourselves kind of in-house, which I think is a good idea. Realize that we also are limited. If my crews are out there doing this work and they get a service call that there's an outage somewhere, they're going to stop and go get the service call. So there may be times where the job is left kind of in the middle. And certainly, hopefully not for more than a few hours or however long it takes to get done, but our priority is always to keep our system active for the customers in the town. So I know I've thrown a lot at you and I've gone through it kind of quick, but in your packets I've given you the three kind of look-sees. Option A, let the contractor complete the job from Third to Brightleaf. Option B, let the contractor go from Fourth to Brightleaf and then do the rest of the bores. Option C, the contractor completes all the bores and the town staff does the work from Second to Brightleaf. And of course, you gentlemen can choose option D, E, or F, or whatever you so direct. But those are the three that I thought were kind of a logical progression. And again, I'm only looking at lighting the trees going up, no other accoutrements. I'm not looking at sculptures or anything like that may add to your streetscape and what you really desire. So in summary, the grant funds do not cover the entire breadth and width as what we wanted, but we can cover a lot of it in some of the blocks and then progress towards total coverage in a future year or two or three or however long it takes. And whichever option is chosen, I recommend that you lay the foundation by getting those boards done. That price will not, again, that will not come down. That's only going to go up. And you can always add on in the future. Getting the conduit in the ground is the most important thing. But again, the choice is up to you, gentlemen. So I'm kind of, I'll let you discuss and give me some kind of feedback and direction on how you want me to proceed.
You have a rough idea how much the fixtures are going to be?
I believe the one Rodney chose was $600 per fixture.
And there's 2 fixtures per tree?
Two per tree, yes, sir.
So $12 per.
I believe that's the right number.
Where did our initial $56,000 estimate come from?
That came from it was examined in June of 2014, and they looked at just the area along Market Street from 5th Street to Mucho, Mexico, and there were, I believe, 15 trees at that time. And Rodney looked at the numbers and the lighting at that time in 2014, and that's where that was the number he came up with as a quote, and that's where the 56,000 number came from.
Mr. Carter, you mentioned that the bores were by a contractor. Is that just one contractor's opinion, or could there be other options out there, cheaper contractors?
Right, that is the one contractor we did speak to. I'm sure there are other contractors. In my experience, there may be cheaper. I'm not going to say there isn't, but generally the ballpark is not that big. So where it may be 57,000 on one contractor, it's going to be 52 or 53 on another. Might be 62 or 63 on another.
And when you say bore, I know many years ago there was a lot of money spent down there for utility doors under the streets. Are y'all running them in that?
No, sir. Generally what happens under the street when they do that, that you put a duct bank in, and it's fiber or gas, and they're concrete encased. So I'm not going to break into SNC or Piedmont, or whoever the gas company is. I'm certainly not breaking into Verizon and potentially damaging their line. Our bore will be individual. We're talking, an inch, because we're just pulling an inch conduit and wire. So it's a very small. You guys may have seen. It's very similar to what you see with the cable trucks on the side of the road, the big orange spools. Very similar. They're just going to shoot it and run it and turn around. I'm not going to utilize someone else's conduits because then there's, in the future, there's maintenance and liability and issues and who's
Yeah, I understand that, but I thought that there was,
Yeah, well,
I'm sorry.
I mean, this may be a silly question, but when we buried the power lines downtown,
is there not an
we
already?
put conduit in. Can we not run it in that same conduit? I
He
mean,
meant-
we buried the power lines downtown, the town did.
All right.
And we put conduit in at that time. So is there not room to run it in the same, or is that, you can't do it, or?
The way I understand it is, the way Rodney explained it to me, is that he has to pull power at various boxes to get these particular fit. We're talking about a different kind of voltage power.
Yeah,
And you
sure.
need to pull from other places. And that's where I know it's hard to see, but that's where the big, the red lines came from. He's circled, and I can pull it up on the screen again, where he's got to pull power to actually get it to work.
Yeah,
That's hard, but, can he utilize the same corridor or the same plant? No. I'm not proficient enough to tell you why, but I can follow up and get back to you on that. That's certainly something I can do.
Legitimate question.
I may be wrong, Ted, but I was on the council when we did this, and I thought at the time, we were told, and again, I may be wrong, but we were told that the conduit would be in place should we ever want to run any additional lines.
Oh, okay. Well, do you know?
I may be
do you
totally
happen to have a
wrong. It's
recollection of-
been-
Was it the entire length?
No,
of
no, it may
Market?
not been no, it's not that entire area, but do we really have to go down to Market Street, right? Yeah, I mean, to
Again,
301
yeah,
Brightleaf
again, that's your
Boulevard,
call.
right?
If you notice, and that may have something to do with why it was priced as it was. If you notice, look at the bores, 5th, 6th, 7th, they're very cheap. In fact, 7th at Brightleaf has no bores. So perhaps, again, I don't want to speak for the contractor or for Rodney, but perhaps it came off, maybe he's got poles there, he can pull it off, or maybe he is utilizing an existing conduit. But I will find out that for you guys, because I know you want to make an informed decision.
Tonight.
Well, if I have to, hold on. No, I'll find out, I'll get it back.
So that leads me to another question. So should we not be able to do this and we bore, and we just go with the boring, we currently have, 32 trees or whatever, 38 trees, and they're spaced out, but what if we planted additional trees and wanted to add lighting to those trees? I know there'd be the cost of that lighting, but could we tap in?
That would
Can
depend
that
on the
be added?
location of the trees. Obviously, if you're close by, we could get it, but you'd have to run, this would not run electrical conduit the entire length. This only reaches the base of the tree where we need it to reach. So if you get to an end of the line situation.
So we're not gonna have electrical lines
You'd have to
going
dig
from.
another one again.
Yeah, so we're not gonna, make sure I understand, I'm sorry.
Right. Now, if you
But
put a
we're not
tree
having electrical
between two,
lines
you'd be
going
fine.
from Front Street all the way down to Brightleaf Boulevard.
Right.
I'm sorry, I just don't see where we should be spending $6,000 per tree to light them.
What's to be sorry about? I agree.
Then you gotta.
Maybe we need to start going to option 2, fixing the broken sidewalks.
Well, now, there's some other things on here that were listed by Downtown Development as well as the Parents Commission. One of the things is the parking lot improvements on Market Street, which has been worked on, and as you may recall, Lenny had planned to use Powell bill money to pay that parking lot, and that was denied. I asked Lenny, and that's roughly $38,000 to finish the repaving that parking lot. There's also Greenway-related enhancements that the Downtown Development had requested. My memory was factoring in the streetscape lighting, I think they were talking around $10,000 or something along that line. There's also wayfinding system, which I don't know where we stand, if that's something the town's going to be funding completely. And there's also sidewalk improvements in this package that you have that was just in a 100 block of South 3rd Street. There may be some other sidewalks downtown that you may be referring to. I know the the editor had some comments in the Smithfield Herald about, I don't know exactly what he's talking about, but, you know, we were told that the lighting project downtown was estimated at $50,000. My understanding, that was for the whole project. And now we're looking at $195,000, which is way out of line. It'd be nice to have. So one of the thoughts I have is that we look at possibly doing the finishing work on the parking lot. We do a certain dollar amount on the greenway. We look at. Huh?
Clock downtown.
Well, let me finish.
Okay.
Thank you.
Forget.
We could do some sidewalk improvements, and I cannot remember the sidewalk money, but we could probably spend about as much money as we want to. And then there's also a question about the clock downtown, which when I sat on the council, we had it's been repaired numerous times. My only issue with the clock is that if we're gonna fix it, if we can't fix it to where it works, let's don't waste our money. But I'm certainly in agreement that it'd be nice if that clock. So my suggestion would be that we move on from the streetscape lighting. It's just not feasible. Let's look at the parking lot. Let's look at some improvements on the greenway. Let's look at some sidewalk improvements and the clock. And if there's money left over, then we could look at maybe some more sidewalk improvements or something. But I think for us to go down the road on Market Street streetscape is not feasible.
So what do we need to do tonight? Just table it?
Perry, let me ask you a question. I mean, is there, and Perry, I'll put you on the spot if you don't want to, fine, but would you be willing to work with staff? And if everybody's in agreement with what Perry just said, I think what Jim needs is just what areas we want to do, and then they can figure out the money to fit within that $96,000. If we say we want to do the parking lots, our top priority, and then we'd like to look at these others, would you be willing to work with Jim over the next week and
maybe,
try to, because we got to put this to bed.
Yeah, by the latter part of next week, I think we probably could come to some pretty good assumptions from the financial aspect of it to give y'all what all we can do with this. We can work with downtown development. We talk to Pierce, we talk to Lenny, we talk to whoever we need to talk to. And if y'all would be okay with that, I'd be more than willing to work with Jim and staff to get back with y'all either via email or telephone to let's go ahead and move forward, because we need to act on this.
I think this is a great opportunity. We have this money, and we can get a lot of bang for our buck, okay? And we already see that the lighting downtown is a great idea, but it's just not cost effective right now.
Mayor, if I may, I would like to present the fact that this decision was made based on the two groups that represent downtown.
Yep.
And this was number one for those groups. So I don't want us to put it off the list. Mr. Creedle has put some time into this. He's brought the numbers down with the use of staff. I would hate for us to, he's got it down to what would be marginally reasonable. I understand it's expensive, but there's some major questions that we've not answered about the board and things. So I don't want us to put the lighting off, but I understand we need to make sure that those two groups are represented in that meeting. Can we include the downtown development?
Well, and I think Perry will do that. Perry actually is our representative on the appearance commission, so I feel comfortable that
I can work with
do
Sarah.
that.
And what, it's frustrating that we approved the project and now we found out it's double or tripled in cost, so.
Well, it is what it is. We do need to act on it, though. We are running out of time, and that's why I'd ask if, do you have the time, do you mind doing this?
I don't mind at all.
This? And let's come up with something. If we need to email it out to the council as soon as we get it, and so we can kind of get an idea. I think we need to
and just so you know, we'll make sure we communicate and work with Sarah, and that we work with the appearance commission and whoever, and we'll continue to look at the Market streetscape to see if there's an opportunity there.
And guys, there is one other thing I do want to I'll mention this while we're throwing it out. Perry, we've discussed this, but just this week I got a complaint. Just this week I got a complaint from a citizen at the kiddie park. You and I have had this discussion,
Bob Wallace.
Gary, about utilizing some of this money to replace the
Bob Wallace
equipment
Kiddie,
at the
Bob
kiddie
Wallace
park.
Kiddie Park.
I know Gary has done a rough estimate. It costs roughly $40,000 to replace and get that park up to speed. Don't have firm estimates on it, but that's something else that would benefit the downtown area, and, you know, a lot of people utilize that. I'd ask you just to look at it. I'm not, whatever you decide, but I just throw that out.
that's a good idea.
I haven't talked to everybody on this council. I know I've mentioned it to Perry.
Good idea.
Do we need a motion, or is that just done?
I think it's just done, gentlemen.
Motion.
I'm good.
No, I'm ready to move on.
I am too.
To help kick this off, might be a good idea, I was just looking at my block of time, I got some free time on Thursday. He has a meeting with the county though on Thursday. If possible, just as a kickoff, is Councilman Perry and maybe Sarah and whoever, if we can all, us just get together this Thursday.
I'm available.
If we could just, if we can work our times out
And
on our
Perry,
schedule.
Just let me know what
and you can
time.
get with the
I will.
chairperson of the.
Just an initial talk and put a game plan together on how we're gonna proceed with this thing.
Mayor, I'd like to be included in that too also.
I'm sorry.
I'd like to be included in that discussion.
Sure.
Okay?
Councilman Scott.
Anybody else that
No
wants to come
more,
to the
though.
meeting, you're more than welcome.
Let us know, because I'd like to go.
right,
You
gentlemen.
get an open meetings law if you get more than 3.
Oh.
Get another one, that'd be a cool.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen, for doing this. Appreciate that. Ted, thank you for the presentation.
Very well.
All right, moving on to business item number 5, discussion of composition of an ad hoc committee reviewing the UDO.
Sure, I'll take it.
You
I think we had this discussion quite a bit the last meeting and that, and one of the things, and we talked about, and we approved a consultant to go ahead and do the UDO. We've talked with the consultant in regards to setting up the best thing is setting up an ad hoc committee of people to work with him. In particular, he's open to start with the landscape ordinance first. But one of the things we need to do, we all agree, is to who's on that ad hoc committee. There was a lot of discussion with this board about who should be on there. You have my opinion that's inside the packet, which is, I think we have the 2 council members there. We're not opposed to getting that adding more to that. But in past experience, you don't want a big committee. This is a working committee, and you start getting too big and get all these rules. You need a working to get it to the planning board and get the council. So our recommendation has always been 5. If you want to go 7, we can do that. I believe the planning department, they suggested some names to some of you all, and that you had some names. So all I need tonight are your direction of how big you want the committee. You already have John and Emery on there, and who they are, where we can contact and get this thing kicked off. I've opened your selection.
Well, I know you and I had talked about getting 2 members from the planning board that are in town, and maybe 1 member from the planning board that is out of town. And I see you've added the appearance commission.
Somebody else had brought that up.
Okay, well,
I'm
that's a good
just being
suggestion.
transparent in regards to that has been brought up.
I think it would be helpful to have somebody from out of town, since we do have authority over the ETJ.
Within the ETJ, extraterritorial, yeah.
I'd make a motion that we approve a 6-member advisory committee made up by Councilman Ashley, Councilman Dunn, Planning Board member Steve Upton and Teresa Daughtry, Appearance Commission member Robert Worsham, and 1 more Planning Board member that is in the territorial jurisdiction area, if we can find that. And
Mr. Lane's.
I have a recommendation, Mark Lane would, I think, Mark, would you be willing to serve on that?
all right, then I'll make it 6,
I've
including
got a
those
box
people.
of the UDOs from about 7 towns. I've already read them. Can you have them read by tomorrow?
Then my motion is to make it 6, including those people and Mark Lane.
Second.
So let me just throw this out to you, gentlemen, for sake of serving on committees. When you have an even number, you may want to consider having an odd number, because you're more than likely going to have a tie on some votes. If Do you have an even number?
I would say we leave that to the committee to decide if we want a seventh, then we can bring in an independent business person.
Y'all have a problem, y'all need a
That's a good idea.
coach.
Well, we've been trying to do this for now a year.
I don't,
1 year, we've been trying to get updates to this. So I haven't seen anything yet.
I don't think they'll be.
So
I'm okay with that.
So Perry's motion is going to include the authority of the committee to add a seventh, right?
Sure.
So, yeah, and that's fine, but again, guys, I'm gonna take the liberty, I appreciate everybody's assistance to volunteer to do this, but this is something that I would like to see done as a mayor, and I would ask, chairman of this committee, that we, the council, receive updates, very frequently on the progress that's being made on this, okay? I appreciate the involvement, but I'm also concerned when you get so many people on a working committee, you sometimes lose control, all right? But again, you guys take it and run with it. If we have issues, we'll come back and regroup, right? Thank you.
Clarification, did you go to seven?
No, we went,
Okay.
it's still six,
Six, okay.
but they have the authority to
16.
go to
Can't go to seven
seven,
before they
right?
let your recommendation
Right, so
was.
I do have a motion. Did I get a second? Motion and a second for that. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Lane, for quote-unquote volunteering to serve on this committee.
Voluntold, buddy.
It put you on the spot, but I do appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Gentlemen, let's see, I think we have come to our last item for tonight, which was the addition, our last business item, which was the addition of resolution number 585, supporting the intermodal terminal in Johnston County. I'm going to read this really quick for the record. Whereas CSX has planned to develop a new intermodal rail terminal in eastern Johnston County, otherwise known as the Carolina Connector. And whereas the economic impacts of a major infrastructure project like an intermodal terminal represents a substantial opportunity for the long-term growth of Johnston County's economy, which is a benefit for the town of Smithfield. And whereas the town of Smithfield and its businesses will benefit from the project and reduce shipping costs and access to national and global markets. And whereas the citizens of the town of Smithfield will benefit from this project with new, well-paying jobs and the possibility of secondary industries locating to the surrounding area, creating the potential for more jobs. And whereas an intermodal terminal has the potential to position Johnston County in North Carolina as a regional hub for logistics and industrial centers, representing a major economic catalyst for the state. And whereas the Smithfield Town Council supports the intermodal rail terminal project in Johnston County and welcomes into the town of Smithfield and offers assistance to any business or resident that may be affected by this project. And whereas the Smithfield Town Council will support and offer assistance to the Johnston County Board of Commissioners and all stakeholders throughout the development process in order to bring an intermodal terminal to Johnston County. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Town of Smithfield Town Council commits its support for an intermodal terminal in Johnston County. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be transmitted to the delegation of General Assembly members representing the citizens of Smithfield, the Johnston County Board of Commissioners, and the representatives of CSX Railroad. Resolved this 5th day of April 2016, and there is a place for every council member in the mayor to sign. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I move we approve resolution number 585.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimous. You have the originals, Madam Clerk. While we're passing those around, I will move on to council members' comments. Have anyone on the council like to make any comments?
I will make two comments. Number one, in terms of the status of the Pine Acres buffer, We have met at the site. We have the preliminary report back in from the part-time engineer, and we had some issues with meeting a couple of weeks ago. I've clarified that with Mr. Nixon, and we're going to probably be meeting in the next 5 business days to move forward on that. Also, I want to address the UDO.
Can we have a heads up to get Bill so he can
Yeah,
work his
you'll get a heads
schedule a
up.
day or two?
Right.
Okay.
You'll get it.
Him.
In terms of the UDO committee, we will be moving very quickly with the assistance. I don't know who's gonna be the chairman. I think you probably asked me to be the chairman at the last meeting, but we will be moving quickly, and it will be a working committee, and so get ready, Mr. Lane.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That was it.
Thank you, sir. Any other?
Mayor, I had a couple comments I'd like to make. Our, serving on the library board, the staff and the board there has added a learning resource center with some grant funding that they received from a couple businesses. I just wanted to make sure that citizens were aware of that, and it's open for them to use. It's a very nice facility. It's got some technology in there, smart board that's available for people and students to be tutored and such as that. So please, if you get a chance, stop by and take a look at that. The other comments I'd like to make is in regards to the Smithfield Sports Academy, and I have received a few phone calls about this program in relation to that, and I apologize for not being able to field all those phone calls. I was out of town this current weekend. But my big concern is here, as it was stated earlier in this meeting, that it is our goal to provide the best for our children. And our children are our most critical asset. And I think it's important for us as a council to make sure that we address the issues that any person has to make sure that we're doing it in a positive manner. I would just like to say thank you to those that are participating in the program, and hopefully we can work together. The other thing I'd like to say in regards to that specifically deals with the lack of knowledge that I personally had about the program. I wasn't even aware of this going on, and that's a little bit of concern to me. Talking to some of the other council members, I understand that there's some other council members that didn't have much knowledge about it either. So I appreciate y'all bringing this forward, and hopefully we can work together to find some type of resolution to make this a good program. There's some things stated earlier about positive policies, things that give guidelines to keep us all accountable. So I just wanted to state those comments, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Anyone else?
Yeah, just a few things. I know we just briefly went through the, with the downtown development, the Market Street escape, whatever. We just talked about moving quickly with the UDOs, but, just my own personal concerns. We just had a resident earlier, Miss Lucy Washington came in, and, she's talking about the flooding over in Pine Acres, along with Mr. Jarrell Williams, and I know we have some more residents from Pine Acres in here. It's about time, that we come back with some resolutions. I mean, we've been talking, and, it's about time we move quickly on this flooding issue too. I mean, and for them to have built a home there 30, 40 years ago and not even know that the piping was there, and it's still, we got to go look at it, we got to go engineer it, and we come back, we table it. Those are residents too, and this flooding, it's a big issue. So I hope we can, start coming back with some resolutions and move upon it. The next thing I'll say is, we talked about the concession stand, the East Smithfield Improvement Organization using the concession stand at Smith Collins Park. Well, I know it was June 13, 2013. I, along with Mr. Allen Easton, his 2 grandsons, we personally went in there and we cleaned that concession stand up. It was in disarray. Feces, there was a stove in there that was being used by somebody. I guess that group that went out there on Sundays and played baseball, they had access to it, and was using it. Since then, there's been some minor repairs to it, but to have a group, the East Smithfield Improvement Organization,
come here and ask to use it, you know, to be able to fund in the park, put that money right back into the neighborhood. You know, I don't see what we, you know, taking 2 weeks to decide anything when the last 3 years it haven't been used in any kind of way. And I can imagine, I mean, before then, how it got in the condition, who was using it. So I think that's something we should be able to move quickly on, you know, keep putting off. Finally, to the Smithfield Selma Academy group that's in here, you know, I applaud you taking your time, volunteering your time to coach this. You know, as a former Smithfield Selma athlete, 1992 graduate, you know, I played basketball there, you know, and Dale pretty much mentioned everything. You know, there was a mission statement when it first started. You know, this was going to be an elite program, you know, not the kids that, you know, that was marginal. This was going to be your elite players, you know, going through, you know, being able to go to another level. You know, just questions that I got recently over the last few weeks. You know, the parents are just wanting to know where was their money going to. The first year they wrote checks to Friends of the Park, and I still haven't quite figured out who Friends of the Park is. This year they said they was writing personal checks, you know, and those were just questions that was being asked. And, you know, no, it's not my job to try to shut it down, but, you know, there was a mission statement. When you have a mission, you follow that mission. You know, this was to better Smithfield Selma athletics, not Cleveland, not South Johnson. I work at Clayton High School, not my athletes, but Smithfield Selma. And there are some, you know, buildings on the Parks and Rec that are being used. There's going to be a tournament in a few weeks, okay, at no charge. But we still have other organizations that cater to Smithfield Selma athletes that have to charge rentals everywhere they go. So, you know, I mean, why can't they come in there for free? You know, so that's just some of the questions that need to be asked. You know, I support my school 100%, you know, but, you know, sometimes it's not about the programs, it's about the people that are in the programs and what are their intentions. So I appreciate you guys. If you want to talk more, we'll talk more, but, you know, it's not intention on, you know, shutting it down, but doing it the right way, especially when you're dealing with money and, you know, not spending money. Thank you.
I'll follow up a little bit on that about the sports academy. I have one other thing. I do agree that we need to focus on Smithfield Selma athletes, but it's my understanding we've not turned any Smithfield or Selma child away, regardless of talent level or anything. Is that correct, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Robinson? Okay.
And some of them are choosing not to play. Some of them don't even want to play into it. So those are mainly your elite athletes anyway. Most of them are not even playing in it. They're playing to other organizations.
Okay. In my opinion, I think other athletes from other towns improve our kids. I've been part of many programs we played with in the soccer, Johnson United Soccer Association. We've had kids from Wilson, Cleveland, Garner, I mean, all surrounding triangle areas as well as the surrounding counties. You know, I think it's a young program. I'm trying to make it better. There's things that can be tweaked, I'm sure. You know, we're still learning. I'm sure when Juice started, it was doing the same thing. I wasn't part of it at that time because I didn't have any children, but I applaud you for what you're doing.
Juice is private. That's a private-run organization. We had a mission statement to foster Smithfield Selma High School.
I've not been given a mission statement yet. I've asked for one.
It ain't, everything just pretty much probably just thrown out there anyway, but I mean.
I'm just saying, I've not seen.
I was at the meeting. I was there at the meeting that night.
I was too, but I've not been given a mission statement. Whoever's fault that is, I don't know, but I've not been given one.
Hey, gentlemen, thank you.
Can I
other
say
comments? Yes, sir. This is Councilman's members' comments.
I'll make this as brief as possible. I was at breakfast one morning last week and happened to run into Councilman Scott, and he asked me if I'd seen an email that Mr. Robinson had sent about this Smithfield, now realize it's Smithfield Selma Sports Academy, and I had an opportunity to read that email. It's the first I had heard of the Smithfield Selma Sports Academy. I immediately called the town manager to ask him what he knew, and he relayed to me that he had met with Councilman Lee, and that he was supposed to get back with him around April the 18th. I asked Jim to prepare some information for us because it appeared to be of controversy. I called Mr. Robinson on the phone that day, and I think we had a good conversation. I made very clear to him that I had never been aware of this. I didn't know that I was really supposed to be aware of it, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know if it was a recreation program or what, but, I told Mr. Robinson that it sounded like some folks were going to come here tonight, and we were going to discuss it, and that we would look at what information was gathered, and we would not do anything to hurt children. I also received some phone calls. I received a phone call from County Commissioner Chad Stewart, whose son plays basketball, and I talked to Chad Friday afternoon for a lengthy period of time, and I received a phone call from Mike Hines at Hines Heating and Air, whose son also plays, I think, basketball, and Mike informed me that it had been going on now for years, and I thought it was a little odd that no one had brought it to our attention, but then again, we don't necessarily know everything, nor do we need to know everything that's going on in every walk of the city. So I was a little taken back there. But with that said, I think the acting town manager is going to give us some information on that. And I don't want anybody to be concerned that we're going to shut down a program that, the way I understand it tonight, we don't even run the program. But I just wanted to let those of you tonight know that I have tried to be active with this, and this council's not going to do anything foolish. We will certainly look at any situation that's brought in front of us as a concern, and how it got to this point, I don't know, but if it's a private entity, then it needs to be handled as a private entity. That's all I got to say. I would like to say I'd like to thank Lenny and his staff. You may or may not have noticed out along I-95, there's been a lot of groundwork done to clear up underbrush along the interstate highway on Outlet Center Drive. On both sides of the fence, our staff got permission from DOT to go in, and they have cleared that up out there. It looks much nicer than it did before. It's still not where I think it should be, but I want to thank Lenny for that work that they've done out there. That's all I got.
Any others?
I would like to say one thing, not to beat a dead horse, but Mr. Howard, I'd like to thank you for getting up tonight, speaking about that, and the time that you put in with these children. No matter what organization it is, any time that an adult can spend working with a child, there's no doubt it's absolutely worthwhile. So I congratulate you and all the other people you work with for what y'all do.
Any others?
So I've just got a couple things, gentlemen. I echo, Councilman Harris, what you were talking about on 95. I asked Lenny to get out and have his crews clean that area up, and he jumped right on it. Also want to mention to you that another area that we're looking at is litter in this town. It is not just in this town, it's all over. I travel up 40 on the bypass, and it is absolutely terrible. I travel 95 daily from here to Nash County line, or not daily, but I travel it quite often, and it is just terrible. I had a citizen contact me the other day, or I spoke to a citizen who said that they pulled up behind a vehicle at a stoplight, and a car opened up their door and then threw a huge Bojangles bag out on the street. Just opened the door and tossed it out at the stoplight. So I've asked the city manager to contact some agencies, and we're in the process of working. We've started the discussions. We're trying to get some possible community service as well as possibly some inmate work assistance to help us in that area. But also, I've talked with the city attorney about maybe how we could go about putting together some cleanup efforts and legalities and so forth about that. And that's something I just want you gentlemen to know that I'm going to be working on in the near future. But I would also ask the police chief if he will please ask his patrols to step up and really let's pay close attention to people that are littering in our community. There's just absolutely no sense in it whatsoever. So I just wanted to kind of give you an update on that. And the other item I did want to mention, last meeting we had a citizen come to us and express the concerns about the Smithfield Selma locker room. There will be a meeting tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock at Smithfield Selma in their media room to discuss this issue. I have a meeting tomorrow with Dr. Renfro. I will say that he has reached out to me and has been very, very receptive to meeting, and just want to let you know, and I'll report on the meeting afterwards, but we meet at 1 tomorrow. And then I encourage anybody that has an interest to, not only this board, but any citizens that may have an interest to show up tomorrow night at 5 o'clock at Smithfield Selma High School. Gentlemen, that's all I have. Mr. Manager?
You have a copy of brief report, hopefully very brief, but just to follow up on your last meeting discussion in regards to the UDO, the landscape comparison. I believe this board asked the planning department to get copies of other ordinances. That has been done in terms of getting the town of Cary, Johnson counties, Clayton, Wilson Mills, Selma, and Benson. I believe some of the, I think we pass it on to some of the ad hoc committee members on that. Also, they're working on, actually, because I think that was asked, if we applied those ordinances just in comparison and dollar-wise to our existing ordinances. They are working on that, and as soon as that's finished, we are giving that to the ad hoc committee as information and questions, since they're the working group, and I'm sure we're going to share that back with the council, but that is a follow-up, so you'll be able to see how the other ones compared in regards to ours if you applied that. And I think he took an actual lot on that. In a related matter, I know the Family Dollar has been a big issue. I know we get a lot of negative in regards to enforcement. We got one of those few. You have a copy in there of a positive letter in terms of the enforcement from the representative of Family Dollar on that, and that's just passed on as informational purposes. Secondly, on there is the policy draft revisions. Per your information, we've been working on the personnel handbook and the travel and expense reimbursement policies with the town. I think as the last time this policy has been revised was back in 2014. There have been some FSLA changes and some other minor changes, and we've incorporated a copy just as an initial draft, not asking for any action tonight. Same as with the town's reimbursement policy and travel policy. And hopefully we would like to sometime in May, maybe in a work session budget or at a council meetings, present that to you as you had time to digest it. Do you have any questions regarding those or additions, subtractions, and then we'll consider adoption and updating those two policies. Well, next item on there, I think you all have been following the police station subdivision or substation. Chief Scott has provided you all a copy, a memo, an update on that. Looks like we're going to be...
Mr. Manager, excuse me, should there have been a public hearing before the acquisition of this residence?
Not that I'm aware of. There should not for the acquisition, unless it was handled under under a grant condition or a, I think of under the housing things of Article 19 or whatever, but this one was just a pure out property acquisition on that. So I'm not aware that there should have been. Just bring it up. Okay. But you have a status report on that as he got it. It looks like it's moving forward and possibly the appearance that everything goes all right in the closing. I believe that's on April the 14th. 12th, excuse me, that they may be able to have that thing up, going and rehab, a lot of rehabilitation into it by the end of this fiscal year, and bring it within the budget. So that is, and I believe there's some comments, some people in the neighborhood have been positive. You heard a lot of negative, but you've got some positive comments on moving forward with that in that neighborhood. And that, briefly, also the budget process, just keep you updated on that. We've met with all departments on that. We've got their initial projections. Greg's working on it. He's putting together. He's going to have it to me. Hopefully next week, we are going to be meeting again in terms of potential cuts and things of that sort. I would hope that sometime by the end of April or May, we can start talking to you all about some budget workshops and give you a book and direction on where we go from there. Lastly, I'm sorry I'm taking so much time. You need to be aware that we met with the local government commission today in Raleigh in regards to a $1.1 million loan coming up. We didn't realize we were last on schedule, so we were there most of the afternoon. We thought we would get in and get out. But after a few, actually there was hardly any questions that were asked of us. They were very pleased to note that you are moving forward in what you said in regards to that you, unfortunately, I said that you didn't like it, but the rate increase that you already implemented in March on the water and sewer, and we're undertaking, of course, a consultant with a water and sewer rate study that's going to be presented to you at your May budget work sessions and go from there. So very pleased that in the end they all approved. You had a unanimous approval to go ahead with that loan.
Great.
And that's all I have, Mayor.
That's awesome news. Paul and Brent, to your staff, again, we often get the complaints, but as mayor, it's always a pleasure to receive notes like this. So please pass it along to your staff, Paul, on behalf of the Family Dollar Store and myself as the mayor and the council. I like to see this type of cooperation with the business owners. So thank you very much for that. To the citizens and to the board tonight, I know at times you might have seen me step in and take control a little bit. Please understand that we have a set agenda. We have to get through this agenda. I want to apologize to you, but we only have a limited amount of time to get through this, and by any means was I trying to be disrespectful to any council member or anybody in the audience. Please understand it's my duty to run the meetings and run them as efficiently as possible, but I do appreciate your input. Thank you very much. If there's not any other business, we have a closed session to go into. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion we go into closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye.